Sabaho everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to unbox for you the brand new Galaxy S10 Plus. I just came back from the Unpacked event here in San Francisco and I got a nice little goodie bag as well as of course the S10 Plus. Now I'm using it to record the introduction to this video because it does actually do all the way 4K at 30 frames per second using the front-facing sensors. That's unheard of with many of the smartphones that we have in 2019. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the good stuff with the S10 Plus and the goodie bag that I got directly from the Unpacked event here in San Francisco. And here we have it. This is the actual package that I received. I have the brand new Galaxy Buds. Those are the ones that were announced today. Again, up to 6 hours worth of playtime, truly wireless, the latest edition, and supposed to be very easy to set up with your Galaxy S10 or your Galaxy device by just opening it up and the device will basically automatically get recognized. The one I received is in white. It does include the little case that they talked about, being able to charge it wirelessly, as well as being able to use the reverse wireless charging off the S10 Plus to charge these guys inside of this case. And they, for all intents and purposes, they look very nice. Now, the cool thing about this is that these are in white, which is really nice because the phone that I have here is also a white color. There's a USB-C cable here and replacement tips if you'd like to be able to check those out. I'll give you guys a link to all of the information where to be able to find out these devices as far as pre-ordering as well. The next thing I have here, of course, is the wireless charging stand. Now, this is the 2018 model. There is no updated version for 2019, but they did include a fast wireless charger to be able to obviously complement the S10 Plus. It is compatible with it, and it does come with its own charging brick. So the only thing you have to do is basically open it up. So cool thing here, you just remove the charger itself. This is not a repositionable one, so basically stays the same. It's a stand, so it stands up your device, fast charger. We have an LED indicator on the bottom. On the back, we have a little bit of a vent here to release some of the heat, as well as a USB-C plug, and of course a non-slip material on the bottom. It does include the fast charging brick that you normally would get with your phone. So you have a US style cable as well, USB-C to USB-A, and an instruction manual. And the cool thing about it is if you don't want to actually charge it wirelessly, you can actually just plug this directly into your phone and charge it fast. So it's a really good accessory, especially for your nightstand or even your office, to be able to keep your device charged. Not only that, using fast wireless charging, which is really nice to be able to recharge our brand new 4100 milliamp battery that's in the S10 Plus. Now, as you know, today, the S10 Plus was not the only device that was announced. We had the S10e and then the S10 standard model, as well as the S10 Plus. All three devices were announced at the same time, and basically what we have here essentially is slightly different size comparison, as well as basically capacity and change as it goes with the size of the device. The S10e will start off at 5.8 inches, and that's a full HD plus flat display, AMOLED 19:9 aspect ratio, and we're not looking basically at any kind of curvature in the front, but you do have a curvature in the back. As far as the actual, the other one, which is the standard S10, that's a 6.1 inch display, bigger than what we had last year, but with the same size and form factor of the phone, which means we reduced all those bezels, and because of the technology that they're using with the little punch hole cameras on the top right, we actually have the ability of getting a bigger display. The standard S10 will only receive one camera on the front with the 3 setups in the back, where what we have here is the S10 Plus. It will receive the 2 cameras in the front and the 3 cameras in the back. The S10 Plus will start basically as a 6.4 inch version of what we used to have with the 6.1 or 6.2 inch S9 Plus, but it still holds about the same circumference of the size of the phone. So if you put them next to each other, you're for the most part going to be getting the exact same size. Let's go ahead and open up the one we have. This is the S10 Plus 128 8GB. So it's 128 gigs model with the internal storage, expandable via SD card, as well as the fact that we have 8 gigs of RAM, and it does go all the way up to 12 gigs with a terabyte of storage if you want to go that high, and as well as of course different materials for the actual device itself. And here we are, the brand new Galaxy S10 Plus. Now this is somewhat of an off-white color, very reflective. I'm hoping this is not too bad. Essentially we have the Samsung logo, S10 Plus right there. It's in white. We have the triple cameras, the standard focal length, the telephoto lens, as well as we have the wide angle lens now that we've had added in here. And the camera setup, of course, is going sideways as opposed to upwards, what we've had with the S9 Plus. Fingerprint sensor is no longer here, as it's actually been removed and put down here at the bottom of the display. So we have basically an in-display fingerprint sensor, the dual cameras in the top. Let's go ahead and remove the plastic. And you can pretty much see here the different camera setups that we've had, but for the most part, if you look at it, really, both devices hold, and they're pretty much the same width. So you can see right there, even putting them top to bottom, they were pretty much the same width, the exact same length. And if we go basically as far as thickness, for the most part, you're getting somewhat very similar thickness. They're both symmetrical as far as the front and on the back. And of course, both of them have really beautiful displays, both of them using basically just a slightly bigger display because of the bezels. So we're going to go ahead and turn on the S10 Plus. Give it a second. First boot right there. We'll put it on the side. Checking out the box, we have a fast wireless, well, fast charger here, US plug. We have the USB-C OTG adapter to be able to connect your device and transfer using basically a Samsung switch to transfer your data from your old phone. We'll be using that from the S9 Plus. And here's the USB-C to USB-A cable. And then of course we have the wired AKG Tune headphones. So these are the white ones. Again, this is a wired cable since we still have the 3.5mm headphone jack. So I'm hoping these are going to be pretty good, and we can see some buds in the back here. Other than that, there is actually a box that's sitting in the actual cover of the phone. So if you open it up and you don't notice your SIM card removal tray or your documentations, it's all sitting in the box and you just have to pick it up. SIM tray removal is here, and then other than that, just standard instructions, and depending on your carrier, you may have some information with your carrier. Now, taking a look real quick around the actual device. So you can notice on the left side is we have the volume rocker and the Bixby button that's now remappable, which is really, really nice. And then comparing that to the S9 Plus, if you're actually considering looking at the devices, again, the placement, because of the size and the actual shape of the phones, for the most part is in the same spot. So the Bixby button is slightly smaller. You can notice it's not as big, and as well as the power button is also slightly smaller. But unfortunately, they're still placed in the same spot. So there's going to be a good chance that whenever you're trying to go for the volume, you're pretty much going to hit the Bixby button inadvertently. On the right side, we still have the power button, but we actually have it slightly displaced. Where it used to be slightly closer to more like 70% on the height-wise from the actual device on the right side, we now are actually sitting slightly higher. So when you're holding the phone, you actually have to overreach to kind of get it. So if you're holding the phone straight, the power button is a little bit higher. Just keep that in mind, where here it was always kind of in a more reachable, you don't have to actually kind of, you know what I'm saying, you have to see me readjust to go up. Not a big change, but still something to be noted. As I mentioned, we still have that tray sitting on the top right there. It houses a single SIM card, since this is a single SIM card device with the Snapdragon 855 and the SD card. One of the microphones. Other than that, on the bottom, we have a single fire. Well, this is part of the stereo speakers that we have on the normal S10 and S10 Plus. One of the microphones, the USB-C charging cable, the 3.5mm headphone jack. We have a couple of antenna bands here. And the earpiece that's sitting right there, ever so slightly on the top, is going to be part of the stereo sound that we normally expect out of this. And here we are on the lock screen itself. One cool thing about the lock screen, if you actually lock and unlock the device, you notice that it will take up and change the actual lock screen wallpaper. So it's basically a rotating lock screen wallpaper, and it looks really nice. We still have the shortcuts on the bottom right and left as we have it before. We have the 3-key navigation button, the recent, the home, and the back. And of course, the icon pack that we have here. Let's go ahead and go back. You're able to customize all of these things, and we'll get into those options in a second. But overall, on the actual UI, we don't have anything on the left. On the right, well, I guess on the left, we have the Bixby Home. We'll go ahead and click OK. We're not connected, and nothing on the right. And you can customize your weather app. Swiping from the bottom, we can see all the preloaded applications. All the Google Play applications are installed, of course. But we have as well some of the mirroring applications from Samsung. And looks like we have the Samsung theme store installed, Spotify is installed, and I think nothing else, as well as Facebook. So those Facebook and Spotify are the only two extra I would consider bloatware applications that you have. And of course, you can just press home here, and yeah, it seems like you can disable, but you cannot remove Facebook, and well, Spotify you can't remove. Yeah, so overall, very nice, very clean. And again, if you're not very happy with the way the icons look like, you can definitely customize them, and we'll get into the camera app in a little bit. We have the browser, as well as the messages app, as well as the dialer, and then of course the Galaxy Store for anything regarding the Galaxy applications. Bringing down the notification shade from the top, we'll notice the new One UI customizations, the new button layout, the new configurations, and of course we have that wireless power share. Now the wireless power share is what we saw before. Essentially, is you turn it on, and it enables you to use the wireless charging capabilities on the back of this device. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way, and I can basically use, let's say here's my S9 Plus, put it on top of it, and you can see right there I'm doing wirelessly charging my device from one phone to the other. And of course anything that's compatible with it, which is really cool, because if you use, let's say, even the Galaxy Watch, you should be able to charge it wirelessly. I'll give it a second here, and it should automatically recognize it, and right there you see 73%, and it's starting to charge my watch. So you never really even have to worry about carrying this charger for your watch if you're running a Galaxy Watch. You just need to basically go ahead and charge it, and you can see right there, of course, that this is pretty much a fingerprint magnet, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and go back into the home screen. Swiping it away, you can cancel it and then disable it. There is one more note here, that if your battery drops below 25%, this feature will be disabled to save conserving battery, of course, for the main device. We have Wi-Fi, mute, I disabled the sound just for notifications, Bluetooth, auto rotate, airplane mode, all the standard stuff, mobile data, blue light filter, of course, mobile hotspot, location, the power share that we saw before, Smart View, do not disturb, of course, secure folder if you want to turn that on. NFC, always on display is definitely supported, as well as Dolby Atmos. Kids mode is right there as well, and then of course night mode, which we definitely want to turn on. You notice it just turns everything off, which is a really cool feature to save us battery on the Super AMOLED display that we have here. Last but not least, we have the navigation bar, which enables us to turn off the navigation keys that we had before. And what's cool about them is that they still really function in the same way. So you notice right there, couldn't find this is with the Play Store, and I can just basically work as if all of the applications are sitting where they are. And of course, that's Samsung Pay right there. If I want to turn them back on, go back all the way to the end, click on it once, and it'll come back. You can turn them on or turn them off whenever you want, and it works really nice. Going into the settings tab is pretty nice. We have the same customizations of One UI that we've seen with the updates that were pushed out to the S9 Plus, S9, as well as the Note 9. Connections gets us access to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, phone visibility, NFC, of course, airplane mode, data usage, mobile hotspot, and more settings, of course, if you want to go into Mirror Link, VPN, private DNS settings as well. And Samsung Cloud and locations are set up in a different area. We'll get to them in a second. Go back, then we have sound and vibration, and that's going to be really nice to customize our sound mode. You notice how the entire UI kind of shifts down, so it becomes really easy to use as a one-handed mode, which is, again, one of the main features of the One UI ecosystem. We have the ability of customizing our ringtone, vibration, notification sounds, volume intensity, the volume key for media if you want to be able to use those. System sound and vibration, of course. Under advanced settings, you have the ability of customizing the quality of the effects for not only Dolby Atmos, as well as the built-in EQ, and adapt sound to get a customized, tailored experience for sound, especially if you're within a certain age group. They do have some customizations to work so that you get the best audio experience out of your phone. Last but not least, of course, we have the answering and ending calls, smart alerts, and do not disturb, and we'll get this in a second. Next we have, of course, is notifications. You can go in there, customize them. The app icon badges, do not disturb, status bar, if you want to basically have 3 recent notifications or all the notifications, depending on how you want it to fill it up. And of course, battery percentage, if you want to turn that on, that's where you'll be able to show it. Next, we get into the display. Auto brightness, blue light filter, as you know, the night mode that we turned on from the notification panel. Screen mode, basically there's 2 options. There's vivid and natural. Natural is the default in the box. I turned it over to vivid, just gives you a little bit more pop in the display. Screen zooming, font size, screen resolution. Out of the box is standard, it still comes with Full HD Plus. I recommend you going in there and turning it on to Quad HD so you can get the full resolution on the display. But if you want to save some battery, you can even bring it down to 720p. Full screen apps, screen timeout, of course, home screen, those are the customizations within the actual launcher. And you can get to all of these by just going directly by pressing and holding on the launcher from your main home screen. Easy mode, navigation bar, we talked about those, customizing them as well as making them removable and using the gestures. Accidental touch protection, touch sensitivity, and screensaver are also customized over here. And of course, we can get into the always on display, basically visibility enhancements, language and input, of course, as video enhancer if you want to get better colors and representation out of the HDR Plus technology supporting on this display. That's just amazing. And one of the other really cool things is that you'll be able to also enjoy this content even with online streaming services that support it. Wallpapers and themes, self-explanatory. You can customize your wallpaper, your themes, your icons, and you're always on display, and you can download additional ones directly from their store. It's really nice and very simple to use. Now, next we have the lock screen, and this is where we're going to be able to customize some of the functionalities of security. Right now we have it as swipe, that's the standard one out of the box. We're able to go in there and customize between swipe, pattern, pin, password, or none. And of course, we can use face recognition as well as fingerprint recognition. For now, I'm going to go in there and set up the fingerprint because I want to be able to basically share with you guys how that works. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. We need to select an actual option. We'll go pin. And then from there, it just basically asks us to put our finger and start registering it. Now you can add additional one, or you're pretty much set. And then once you have that done, again, you can show basically view icon, high content, or you can basically show all on always on display. I can put it in there and I can show the icon, of course, for all the notifications. We'll go ahead and say done, and we'll say agree. Once we have that done, the device is ready for us to use. So I can lock the device, I can unlock the display, and you can see now a little icon or basically a position for it here. I can put my finger on it and it unlocks it right away. Let's close it again. And it unlocks it. So as long as you kind of remember where the location of it is, it should automatically work for you. And then the rest of the options we here, of course, we have clock style, roaming clock, face widget, contact information, notification, adding different shortcuts, about lock screen, of course, and then we have face recognition and fingerprints, which we already went through. Next step is biometrics and security. Again, these are the options that we were setting up before. We have facial recognition, which we didn't set up at this point. We have fingerprints, biometric, of course, Google Play, find mobile device, security updates. This is all the stuff that you normally would expect there. Secure folder is in here, encrypting your SD card, of course, as well. Location is on, app permissions is also under here, and send diagnostic data, it's turned off by default. If you want to turn it on, you can do so. Now, Samsung Ads Customize are turned on by default, so you do want to go in there and go ahead and disable that if you don't want it. I'll go ahead and hit back. And then the next option we have here, of course, is just accounts and backup and Google. So setting up your Samsung account, logging into this, of course, will bring in all the import information, whatever you have backed up your Samsung Cloud account, and of course your Google account to be able to log in and update stuff through the Google Play Store. Now, advanced features are really nice because we'll be able to get some of the really cool things. Now, we have Bixby routines turned on by default, smart pop-up view, of course, smart capture, direct share, reduce animation to be able to speed up the UI, motions and gestures. Game launcher is installed and it is turned on. It's really nice. It recognizes whenever you're trying to get into a game and not only allows you to control notifications, but also gives you some in-game play functionalities to optimize the system to work better for you. Dual Messenger is really fun, specifically if you're using, let's say, two versions of, let's say, the Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, or so on. You can customize that. Video Enhancer is here. You can turn that on and it will automatically enhance the colors within a video just to give you that nice little pop, especially with these displays. You definitely want to get the best that you can out of them. And of course, send SOS messages off right now in case of emergencies. And of course, there's little shortcuts for other areas. Device Care. Now, Device Care gives us access to be able to see basically battery information, storage, memory, as well as security status. Now, the battery we have here is a 4100 milliamp battery that came about 71% charged. It should be able to last you an entire day. This is by far the biggest we've seen on an S9 before, about 25% bigger than what we had on the S9 Plus. Next, what we have here is storage. Out of the 128 gigs that we have that was pre-installed, we have about 107 available for us to use. And of course, there's nothing really installed or added on here. And as you add more stuff, you can still actually use an expandable storage here to add an SD card, like a 256 gig one. The memory that we have here is the 8 gig. This is the 8 gig of RAM with 128 gigs of internal storage. This is the base model of the S10 Plus. And out of that, we have basically roughly about 4.1 gigs available for us to load up applications. And this should help with a really smooth, fluid UI on the system. And then, of course, security enhancement here, basically deactivated right now, but essentially it just scans for malware and any kind of applications that are suspicious. Under the app section, you can uninstall, set up, go into the permissions and be able to customize some informations there. General management, this is where you get the language, date and time, as well as the reset option. Accessibility, as you'd expect, you go into the screen reader, visibility enhancement, hearing enhancement, interaction, and basically in dexterity and advanced settings, of course. Go in there and customize flash notifications if you want to turn those on, voice labeled, and of course volume up, volume one key as far as voice assistants if you want to be able to use those, and of course installed services. The next option we have here is the software updates to be able to get obviously updates to our device, help about the phone, and what that tells us essentially is that we're running Android 9.0 with One UI 1.1, and of course we have the standard Easter egg here with Android Pie. Let's do one more and maybe get it. Yeah, here we go. Much better. And of course, the entire UI is customizable. Now, as I said to you guys in the beginning, Bixby is still here. We are able to now remap this button to do whatever you like, but we do need to have internet access to customize it. You can still swipe to it from the right. The customizations that we have within the actual launcher are easy. You can get into them from here or directly in from the settings. Wallpaper, themes, wallpaper, home screen settings takes us into it. You can set up the grid size, the different applications. Right now by default is 4x5. You can take it into 5x6 and just add as much as you want and enjoy that full 6.4 inch display. Really, really nice. And of course, change the icon packs and do all of the stuff that you'd like to do there. Into the camera itself, we can start talking a little bit about the actual customizations and the setup that we have here. When we look into the actual sensors, the S10e has dual sensors. The S10 and the S10 Plus both have triple sensors in the back. Now the S10e has a 12 megapixel sensor. That's the 12 megapixel super dual pixel autofocus with f1.5 to 2.4, and of course a 16 megapixel sensor at f2.2. That's the ultra wide sensor that they have, and it works really good. But we don't have a third sensor, which essentially is the telephoto sensor that we have here. The S10 and the S10 Plus both have triple cameras in the back. We have the 12 megapixel autofocus, the f2.4 with OIS. Then we have the 12 megapixel super speed dual pixel one that we have multiple apertures of f1.5 to f2.4. That's there with OIS, of course. And then the ultra wide 16 megapixel sensor, similar to the one on the 10e at f2.2, just giving us the ability to be able to enjoy the camera sensors and just so much flexibilities of being able to basically just take better pictures and video using this. And some of the examples they showed us at the event, I'm really looking forward to really checking it out. But one of the really main features that we haven't had a chance to look at before with other Galaxy devices is that not only we're able to shoot in UHD in the back, we're actually able to shoot in UHD in the front now using the two sensors that we have. Opening up the camera is pretty simple. We have our normal modes. We have, let's go in all the way to the left. We have food mode, we have panorama, we have pro, we have live focus. Let's go here. We have video, of course, we have super slow-mo, we have and then slow motion, so there are two different sections now, and of course we have hyperlapse. We can go into the settings tab and then go in there and start customizing different things, but we can actually go in all the way to shooting methods as well as camera modes, and camera modes gives us the ability of customizing all those little tabs that we saw. We can turn on whichever ones we want, and we can also move them to wherever position we want them in the order of activity, of course. And of course, keep using the last mode if you want to be able to just always go back into the camera with the exact same mode. You can have shutter sound on, I can turn that off. And of course we have shooting modes, we can turn that on and look at it with basically voice control, slow palm, or show palm to be able to grab the image. So starting off from the top, we have scene optimizer. This is going to be basically, I would say the best way to explain it is like the AI functionalities of the camera to be able to recognize the scene and give you better images. Of course, we have shot suggestion as well as flaw detection, motion photos to be able to just get the best image possible. If you're not sure you're going to get a regular image right away, take a motion photo, which essentially is a short video clip, and you're able to go into it and then reselect the image that you want to be the cover image for that and save that from there. Rear video size as well as far as front video size. As I said, front video size, we're able to go all the way to 16:9 resolution. Right now we have it at 1920 by 1080. I can go in there and change it to UHD. This is 3840 by 2160 at 16:9 aspect ratio. Just ridiculous. Of course, we can go to the 19.5 aspect ratio, but that just gets a little bit weird with video players. I'd recommend you just stick into that. Of course, we can do 1:1. I'll go back. And then when we switch over to the other camera, we're able to customize it there. And then of course, advanced recording options. We have the high efficiency video to be able to go to H.265, or we can go to the new tech, which is the HDR10 Plus video, and that just essentially just gives you the ability of going into that next level images, although compatibility may be a little bit of an issue there. On the rear video, again, we have the same setup as far as information. We have 16:9, full aspect ratio, 19:9, and of course we can go all the way to 4K at 60 frames per second, where in the front we're capped at 4K at 30 frames per second. So for now, I'm going to keep this at 4K at 30 frames per second in the back and in the front. And of course, if you haven't noticed it yet, the beginning part of this video, the introduction, was done using the front-facing video. Add that, obviously the 4K at 30 frames per second downsized to 1080p. So definitely a great sample there. Let's go ahead and switch over and I'll do a quick sample for you using the back-facing sensor with the 4K at 30 frames per second. This is going to be a quick sample of the back-facing sensor. I'm using the wide-angle lens right now at 4K at 30 frames per second, just to give you guys an example of what you should expect from as far as video and audio from the Galaxy S10 Plus. The main benefit, of course, here is that we not only have 4K at the front, we also have it in the back. Although the back can go all the way up to 4K at 60 frames per second, it's still really nice to be able to see 4K on the front-facing sensors. So this should be a really good example of what you should expect, again, using the wide-angle lens now that we have that on the brand new Galaxy S10 Plus. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little sample of the back-facing sensor. And again, the introduction to this entire video was actually done using the front-facing sensor at 4K at 30 frames per second and downsized to 1080p. The last thing, of course, we want to do is obviously do a quick sound test to see how the quality of the audio is. And this is NCS Jumbo, again, a copyright-free song that's available for us to be able to play there. And we'll go ahead and play the music and see how it sounds like on our brand new speakers. Sounds pretty good. If I have to say myself, it actually sounds maybe even a little bit louder than what we've had before. The event had a lot of things to cover, and of course started off with the Galaxy Fold, as now we know that's going to be the name of the brand new phone. It's going to be available starting April 12th, and for about $1,980. Yes, almost $2,000 for that device, and it's definitely premium price, premium device, cutting edge, a lot of technology, a lot of new things, basically depth sensors, and I think it was like almost 4,200 milliamp battery, and they're housing the batteries on both sides of the display. So not at the Fold, but basically behind the display on both ends of the actual device. They did a quick demo for us on the show, showing us basically going on Google Maps from folded all the way to unfolded at 7.2 inches, and it looked pretty good. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully being able to check that out. I'm not sure if this is something for everybody, but definitely really exciting. Now, as far as the 10 Plus, we had the 10E, well, the 10 Plus, the 10E, and then there's the standard S10. So those three devices started somewhere between $749 all the way to $999 on the base model for each one of these devices. And the one that actually I do have here is the 8128 base model of the S10 Plus. And there's two other options that take you all the way up to a 1 terabyte of internal storage with 12 gigs of RAM on this device. I mean, that's a lot. But definitely, again, if you'd like it with ceramic back, if I'm not mistaken. Then of course we saw I think it was the Galaxy Watch Fit. So the Galaxy Watch Sport, or the new Galaxy Watch, as well as basically the Galaxy Fit, which is the new Fit 2 Pro, with a brand new version of it. Both of them look pretty good, and you can actually charge the actual watches with the Galaxy S10 using the reverse wireless charging. So a lot of cool things that we had there, and I'm really happy with the little goodie bag, the gift bag that I got with the wireless charger, the buds. There was even some chocolates there, but I didn't get a chance to share that with you guys. I ate them before then. And of course, the brand new S10 Plus. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of this video? What do you want what do you want me to focus on in the full review that's going to be coming up very soon, or other little mini reviews showcasing or focusing on specific features of the brand new S10 Plus. This is TK. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.